And we want to get to a story we've been following here for you on CBSN New York. New York City Transit President Andy Byford, Manhattan Borough President Gale Brewer, and some city council members, including Ydanis Rodriguez, their chair of the Transportation Committee, right now outside of the 168th Street train station in Washington Heights. Talk about elevator repair work that will begin there this weekend. Let's listen in live.
System of our city, the largest one in the nation, one of the largest one in the world, working 24 hours for many decades. I've been running late, I've been running with dirty stations, and New Yorkers, riders expect, and we are here to do our part. This is our call today. We will be walking to see how elevators built 100 years ago will be replaced by a new one. Elevators that for many decades been broken, leaving people in the platform. Elevators that the riders here, not only the great residents, many of them immigrants, but also students, patients, doctors, expected more, expected to have a 21st century station. So for me as a council member, as a chairman of this community transportation, it's a great honor to be here starting 2019 with a great message to everyone, all the riders. We are here to take the transportation system to the 21st century. MTA, New York City Transit will do their part. From my role, I will do my part. I again believe that the city should increase the contribution, that the state should increase the contribution, that the MTA should be committed to bring more transparency, that we should be working to be sure that as many stations as possible are accessible. I believe that that's what riders expect, and this is a common goal that all of us have. Para mí es un honor estar aquí sabiendo que estamos comprometidos a traer la transportación del tren al siglo XXI, eficiente y segura. Esta estación que tenemos aquí, en la 168, es una estación que los elevadores fueron puestos 100 o más años atrás, roto muchas veces, dejando a personas en las estaciones. Hoy estamos porque es importante que todos los usuarios sepan que nosotros vamos a tener elevadores nuevos. During this time of construction, we know that it will take a lot of level of coordination between all of us. We know that the elevators will be, it will take a year. And I know that the MTA will be working. We expect that even in the on schedule, they can work to see if even they also can cut the time. But the work is a year right now. We expect that the alternative buses that riders will have in this area will be able to provide the alternative transportation that they need. And we are committed. This is something that the MTA, the New York City Transit, heard our ask from the elected officials and the riders, that they're going to be monitoring the working of the buses. If more buses is needed, we as a representative of the community will be working with the MTA to be sure that riders are not waiting here hours to take a bus to move from 157 to 168 or 181st. Andy Byford will talk about the details that for me is about letting riders know it will take months to see the new elevators in this station. We're going to be working together with the MTA to be sure that riders will have enough buses here to be sure that they have the alternative way of transportation during the time that one train will not be stopping at 168. Ahora quiero presentar a la presidenta del condado de Manhattan, pero el mensaje es que durante este mes de construcción para un elevador nuevo, los elevadores nuevos, vamos a tener los autobuses necesarios y vamos a estar vigilando para que nadie esté esperando en el frío mientras llegan los autobuses. With that, let's get Manhattan Borough President Gale.
I want to thank the council member. I certainly want to thank President Byford. As the Borough President of Manhattan, we have spent a great deal of time figuring out the issues that come before us in terms of transportation. Obviously, the L train is the one that is on everyone's mind, and I want to thank the MTA and the staff because on a regular basis, we are briefed. Obviously, there's a lot of concerns. People bring them to the attention, but they are responded to. And I know that this particular president has a real commitment to the riders of the transit, and that's something that has not been true necessarily in the past. But as the borough president, we're very concerned, just as the council member is, about this particular stop and the inconvenience that it's going to create. Obviously, we need to fix the elevator because we need to fix other stations. But we did send a letter to the president pointing out that there are 26,000 daily riders here at this particular location at 168th Street, and there will be a year in which it will have many impacts in terms of their travel. The President Byford has promised, as the council member indicated, that if the bus service that is slated to be implemented is not satisfactory, that he will reevaluate and make sure that 26,000 passengers can get to their work, to get to their doctor's appointment, students can get to school. There's a very, very heavily trafficked stop. Obviously, there will be an enhanced M5 service, as I'm sure you will hear, and there will be other free transfers, but we want to make sure that there could be a bi-directional bus shuttle service if necessary. We also are concerned because there maybe need temporary installing bus lanes that would serve the shuttle buses, as well as portions of the M3, M4, and M5 routes. What I'm trying to say is that the bus situation is going to have to be evaluated very, very carefully. But as the Borough President of Manhattan, I do have a lot of confidence. When President Byford said he's going to do something, it happened. So I'm honored to be here. We look forward to an elevator that everyone can trust. And this is a station, I think, that is going to be continually, as you see more and more people living in the area, you're going to see, as the hospital increases its services, you're going to see more and more people using this station, and it does need to be renovated. Thank you very much.
With that, I would like to acknowledge Erica Rodriguez from the Assembly member, and Taylor, and also citizens here. Rosario has been living at 170 for 50 years. Where she raised her daughter, now is a doctor here at New York Hospital, living in this community too. So with that, the great leaders here at the New York City Transit, someone that so far, and we have the confidence that he will be a leader helping us to take our transportation system more efficient and safer. Andy Byford.
Okay, good morning everyone. I'll keep it reasonably brief because I'm sure you have lots of questions. But I'd just like to thank, first of all, Councilman Chair Rodriguez for his leadership on the transportation file, and also my great friend, Borough President of Manhattan, Gale Brewer, for her support, ongoing support for transit. This is one of the first stations I came to when I took up this job almost a year ago. I started here on January the 17th of 2018, so almost a year. And this was one of these stations that informed my thinking about what should go into the Fast Forward plan, which, if you remember, is our plan to modernise New York City Transit in an unprecedented 10 years. So two five-year chunks that will see the whole system re-signalled. The most transformative thing that we can do for the subway, re-signalling the entire subway with state-of-the-art signalling. And the good news is that in a matter of just a few weeks, a world-class expert in signalling, who I've managed to lure from Toronto, will start at transit to really get that goal moving of re-signalling. But the second part, and the reason we're here today, and the reason I'm making the point, is an anchor of the Fast Forward plan is to push towards full accessibility as quickly as possible. It's not acceptable that 75% of our stations are not accessible. I don't think we can be proud of our transit system until it's accessible for everyone. Some stations are easier to do than others. This is actually one of the most difficult stations to do because it's a heritage station, but also it's very, very deep, and we have 4 elevators here that we must replace. We must replace the machine rooms, and that's why this is a one-year job, because we're not just tweaking these elevators, we're taking out the machine rooms have to be replaced, and the elevators themselves, everything gets taken out, everything gets replaced with state-of-the-art equipment, which is a long job, and it's got to be sensitively and carefully handled. Effectively, the only thing that's left are the elevator shafts. That's all that gets left. What I can say is, and Chairman Rodriguez alluded to this, we will do our damnedest to speed things up. If we can possibly do this any quicker, we will. I will be doing 2 things obsessively on this job. Number 1, watching our engineers watching the contractor. It's a very good contractor here and at the other stations to make sure that things are done quickly, properly and safely. And number two, as a personal commitment to Borough President Gale Brewer, watching this bus service, again, watching that very closely. Right now we're not doing a dedicated bus shuttle because we believe that the enhanced M5 service will cope. If it can't, we will immediately review that. I've given Gale my personal assurance. I'm going to be up here, I'm going to be watching what goes on. So we will deliver for the people who use this station, for the medical students and the residents who for too long have put up with unreliable service. This to me is indicative of what Fast Forward's all about. No messing around, get the job done, deliver things that have been promised for years and where there's been no action. That's the essence of Fast Forward. Stop talking, get delivering. That's what it's all about. So I'd like to thank the local residents for their patience in advance. We will get this job done. We will deliver you elevator service that is worthy of this wonderful part of our great city. With that, we can take your questions.
President Byford, what's going on with the Fair Fares program? Sure.
So Fair Fares, as you know, is a city-run program. We are working with the city to now finalise the details. We have said from the start we fully support Fair Fares as long as, number one, we are made whole in terms of the budget because obviously reduced fares means less revenue for us, so that's been sorted out. We will not be left short of revenue. Number two, that the city will administer that program. So that is the cities to administer. We'll be ready. They will announce the eligibility and arrangements for getting those fair fares in very shortly, is my understanding.
It was supposed to launch January 1st. Have you spoken to Mayor de Blasio about it?
We are in discussions with the city about it. The question's best posed for the city. I think Chair Rodriguez wants to comment.
Please, thank you.
The city, as the President said, it is the responsibility of the City of New York to implement the fair fare. I led this charge in the previous speaker, but we couldn't take it to the finish line in the budget negotiation before she left office. With the current speaker, I have previous language for legislation that he will intend that if we will not be able to make it through negotiation, that we will make fair fare by law. With the leadership of Speaker Johnson, my colleague, in the Committee on Transportation, we were able to include fair fare in our budget. $110 million with a goal to go to $200 million. This program was supposed to be starting in January 1st. This program is supposed to be covering all New Yorkers, 800,000 who live on poverty line. 800,000 New Yorkers. We agree that the agency that should be starting this program should be the Agency of Human Resources. But it doesn't mean that it's only those who get food stamp that are the only ones who live on poverty line. We have home attendants, we have part-time workers, that they are family of one that make $4,000 or family of five who make $29,000, which are the requirements to qualify to the fair fare. So I personally believe that working together with Speaker Johnson, we should be sure that Mayor de Blasio will only be working together with many areas. In this particular one, we are not happy on how fair fare has not been starting since January 1st.
So what's the holdup?
The city has failed, and we need to be sure that we fix the problem. It's not enough to say that we have the money there. We need to implement it. We put men and women power in the street, disseminating information for the UPK and other programs. It is time now also to get men and women power, airing TV and radio, so that 800,000 New Yorkers who live in poverty line, they should know that they can qualify for this program.
For the record, we're ready to go. For the avoidance of doubt, New York City Transit is ready to go. We looked at that. There are forced elevators. we looked at could we stagger this, could we do 2 and 2, but we modelled it against the usage of the station every day, and the fact that this is a very, very deep station, and very clearly it was obvious to us we could not safely operate this station if we only had a 2 elevator service, and the elevators are in 2 shafts, so 2 elevators are in one shaft and the other 2 are in the other shaft, and if you so you have to take them out 2 at a time. If we had tried to do just 2 elevator service, we wouldn't be able to clear the platform. It would have been unsafe to do that. So it was binary. You either do them all at once or you don't do them. Not doing them is not an option. We've got to get on with it. It's got to be all 4.
Notoriously slow. Why do you expect much faster?
Yeah, what we'll be doing is replacing these elevators, which are very, very old. Very old. They have parts in some cases that are decades old, which is one of the causes of the unreliability. We are replacing them with state-of-the-art modern industrial elevators that are fit for purpose, because obviously they take a lot of people. They're operating basically 24/7, but these are state-of-the-art, very fast elevators. So it will be worth the wait. These will be very reliable machines.
And what exactly is the shutdown?
The shutdown starts from the 5th of January. So. No, these will be automatic elevators. Up to now we have had attendance because of the fact that these things are unreliable, and it gives customers reassurance to have members of staff there, but these will be fully automated elevators that we're all used to in apartment blocks or whatever. They'll be automatic. Okay?
What all stations are involved?
No, 168, 181 and 191st. So these are all heritage stations, very deep stations, and this has been on the to-do list for a long time. So again, as my colleagues alluded to, this is about action, this is about getting on with it. This is what you can expect to see under Fast Forward. As long as we get the funding, and this is the big year for Fast Forward, where I want to go into PAP. I want to go for broke. I want to make sure that Fast Forward happens. Give us the money, we will deliver. We will push on and make this system fully accessible and get it re-signaled. That's what needs to happen in this city.
Did you say there would be enhanced bus service?
Yes, so the M5, we're adding extra service on the M5 to shuttle people to the alternate station to 157th Street. That's also going to run overnight as well. But my commitment to Borough President Brewer is, if we find that that's not enough, I will revisit that provision.
And something that one thing that I would like to add is that, first of all, the 168 train station will continue being open. A train and the C train will continue stopping here. The only train that isn't stopping here is the 1 train at 168. That's one thing. Second is that we would like to for riders to know that which station they are close, which is the one at 157. We both the C train, 1 C train at 162nd, and then the 1 train at 157. And the other thing is that we know that making our train station accessible is very important. We heard the challenges that we know about the rock and all the work that we take, the $100 million to be able to take the elevator to the level of the platform. But one thing that I'm going to say is also expressed by the MTA is that we are open also. They're going to be also doing the assessment to see and try to look at the possibility that they can put a ramp, so that we can, as you know, there's a challenges because there's a federal standard on the wide and the length for any ramp and the pitch. So, but we know that they are working, and we know that this is important for the community, that we've been working together, advocating to make our station accessible. And we know that the MTAs have heard our ask, not only from the elected official, but also from the advocates group. And this is one of the areas that we want for the New York City Transit to really continue looking at the possibility to put a ramp, because there's not The elevator is not accessible as it is right now, and we're looking to see how we can make this station accessible.
Yeah, just one more point on that. The reason for that is to take the elevator all the way down to the deepest level. You're going through 10 stories of bedrock. And that is a hugely complex task. It's also literally hundreds of millions of dollars. That will take a lot of design. So we're not giving up on that. But what we're saying is the imperative is to get this job done first, to get these existing elevators replaced first, while we look at what the options are for making the station fully accessible. But one thing I'm very proud of, certainly in my first year, and this is credit to Alex Elagudin, who's my senior advisor on accessibility, who, just to remind you, there was no such thing a year ago. We've now got an accessibility unit at Transit, which is the first for Transit. We are powering through an assessment of every single remaining station on New York's subway system, surveying every station to see how complex they are, how expensive it will be, how feasible it is, and when can we make it accessible. So that list, we've already done nearly 150 surveys, will be completed this year. So we're making huge progress. We're not going to give up on it.
I just want to add that Alex is fabulous and answers every constituent call.
So with that, thank you Marino and the rest of the team also, and team for being working with us, putting this and other initiatives together. And we're going to be going to the elevator together, so that if any of the members of the media would like to work with us, it's taking you 5-10 minutes for you to be ready. And lo que decíamos en español también, que con el plan de descuento de la tarjeta, lo que ha dicho lo que estamos diciendo es que la NTA por la parte de ellos están listos. Nosotros como ciudad hemos dicho de que ese plan de descuento del Fair Fare es un plan que ya debió de comenzar el día primero. Hemos estado tarde, pero por parte de la NTA ellos están listos para que este plan ya se comience. Y ahora vamos a ir debajo. We're going to be, NTA have been distributing the flyer, informing riders about the work that we did for the years. Vamos ahora a bajar abajo y vamos a interactuar con los usuarios de los trenes y la distribución de los volantes.